Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Max, Chief Evangelist over here at Happily. I wanted to take some time to make a video really highlighting all of the possible calculated pricing scenarios, or at least just some of them. It's pretty impressive, to be honest with you. There's so many different ways we've seen people do pricing, and through all of our interactions with different customers, we've gotten inspiration on different things to set up in our demo portal. And I'm going to take you through 5 of the most popular ones that we see commonly as we're working with customers that are trying to quote more complex things inside of HubSpot. Come along with me on this demo journey, if you will, as I kind of show you some of the calculated pricing capabilities that we have here. Right now, I am inside HubSpot. I was on a deal and I've opened up the Quote Happily quote builder, right? So again, you use our quote builder instead of the regular HubSpot quote builder. Still going to build you a HubSpot quote at the end of the day, but it's going to be much easier. And what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to go and choose from my product library a number of different products that we've built that show off these different types of pricing. The ones that we're going to cover are table-based pricing, square footage-based pricing, margin-based pricing, volume-based pricing, and seat-based pricing, right? So all different forms and flavors of calculated pricing that you might want to do inside of HubSpot. I'm going to go ahead and add all of these and we're going to go through each one of them, right? So I think we got seat-based, we'll throw that in there. We got a nice margin-based, square foot, table, volume. I did that in some order because I have some tabs up here to show you the back end of how they're working. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So what you'll notice is that it will go ahead. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. When you have these calculated products, you'll actually see the pricing formula appear below it. So you have like full transparency into how these prices are getting calculated so you can check the math, understand how it works. And if you're quoting something out with someone in real time, maybe you're over the phone with them, or you're just trying to see how the math shakes out as you adjust different things, it's all right in front of you. It's really easy to do. So this first one here is a good example of seat-based pricing. So what's really great about this is if you're a company that sells like a software, for example, or maybe a service that includes a bunch of different types of seats, you can easily put together a single line item for all the different seat-based costs in a single price right here. So I can come in and say, hey, we're going to sell 3 basic seats, 2 pro seats, and 1 enterprise seat. And what you'll notice is the unit price of the actual line item gets updated in real time. So if that customer comes back to you and they're like, hey, you know what, we need 2 enterprise seats, you can easily come back and change it and you'll see it change here. So how do we actually set this up? We do this using a formula. So this is our seat-based formula. It's a seat-based formula that we built. Your formula can be however you set it up, but it's pretty simple. We're adding in some variables here: number of basic seats, number of pro seats, number of enterprise seats. And we're basically just saying number of seats times the actual cost, right? We're running that whole formula. And when we build it out in here, it allows us to then go and do that in real time as we're actually adding the line item to a quote. It's pretty sweet. So that's a seat-based pricing example. Let's come down here and let's talk about a margin-based product. You have your product, it has a particular unit cost, but you want to be able to add in a certain percentage of margin on top of that, right? Maybe this is a big service project that you're scoping out. We see this a lot with folks who do like renovations on homes or roofing, things like that. Any sort of stuff that you're like building, you often have a margin injected into that pricing strategy somewhere. Margins can really be for anything. But what's cool about this is this gives you the ability to change the unit cost, right? So if I want to change this to 56 and then say, hey, I'm trying to make a 20% margin on that, you can easily calculate this as such and play with the unit price and the margin separately. And you'll see that the price is automatically adjusting over here as well. And this is great too, because if you want to be able to report on unit costs or report on margins, things like that, it makes it much easier to do that inside of HubSpot. Because again, all this information is getting written to line items in HubSpot because we are a native HubSpot product, right? We're not doing this in some other system. So let me show you how we set this one up. So this one is similar, right? We did a margin-based calculation here, and ours is pretty simple, right? We've got unit price multiplied by 1 plus margin divided by 100, right? And again, these values can be dynamically injected as you're building out the quote itself. But keep in mind, any of these different variables that you have, no matter what sort of object they're coming from that's related to the deal, it'll actually have a value in there already if it already has one. If not, it'll be blank and you can fill it in. So that's a margin-based product right there. Let's come down to another one that's popular in the builder space, and that's square footage-based products, right? So let's say you're selling flooring, roofs, walls, landscaping, whatever it may be, right? Oftentimes your pricing is based on square footage. So here we've got a calculated field that we've built that is showing square footage and a cost per square foot that you can also adjust if you need to, right? So we can come in here saying, hey, we're doing 1,000 square feet, right? And we can easily see that price just gets automatically adjusted. And if we're like, hey, you know what, we'll give you a deal. We'll get it done instead of $10.95, we'll get it done for $9.95. You can adjust the cost per square foot and it automatically changes the price just like that. So simple. People have never been able to do this in HubSpot before, but now it's completely possible. This one's even easier, right? This again is also a formula. In this case, we're doing a variable for square footage multiplied by a variable for cost per square foot. This one's pretty straightforward, very easy, but again, just another powerful example of how you can do that. Now, let's get to some of the more fun ones, okay? Down here, we have what's called a table-based product. And the reason we're calling this example a table-based product is this is using what's called a pricing table, which basically means when you have this product added, you can, instead of futzing around with a calculation, you can come into here where you see a drop down, all right? And I have good, better, and best. And depending on what you select, maybe it's a level of onboarding, a level of support, a certain version of the product, maybe a color of a t-shirt or a size of a t-shirt, whatever it may be, right? You can create these pricing tables to go and choose a different option. And as you choose a different option, you'll see the list price change right here. And then down here, you'll see the calculation change. I actually do have a calculation set up for this too as well, right? So you'll see that list price inside of the calculation right here change. So you can see my table is changing whatever the list price is based on the option. And then down here, I have this part of my calculation is also changing in real time based on this, which is pretty cool. And of course, it adjusts the units price over on the right. So how do you set up tables? So tables are actually super easy to set up. What happens is inside of your price book, when you have a product inside your price book, you can change the unit price and be overwritten. So instead of just the one price you give it inside of HubSpot, you can change it to be a price based on a pricing table. You basically come in here, you hit override by pricing table. That's the option that you select here. You can also see there's percentage increase, volume, amount. We're going to talk about volume in a second, but this is pricing table, right? So down here, you basically choose a property, right? So these are going to be like properties from your HubSpot account that you can select. And based on the value of that drop-down property, you can change what the list price is actually going to be. You can even go up to 5 decimal points if you need to. I had no idea people needed that many decimal points, but apparently when you're in the quoting game, you actually do. So that's a pricing table. Infinite use cases for that. You have a product, you have a price, you change a drop-down, the price needs to adjust. Easy peasy. Try doing that with vanilla quotes out of the box in HubSpot. You're not going to be able to do it. All right. Last example. Let's pop over here and we're going to take a look at a volume-based product. Now, you'll notice for my volume-based product, there's no sort of calculation. There's no sort of fancy additional thing added here, right? But what there is on your quote is there's a quantity field, right? So the pricing is going to be based on the quantity. Now, I'll actually go and take a look at how this is configured first. I'm back into the price book and I've selected my product. And in this case, I've overrid the price by volume, right? Now in here, what you're able to do is you're basically able to say, hey, from the first unit of 1 all the way to 50 and 51 to 100 and 101 and 150, so on and so forth, based on the quantity of the line item changing, it will actually change the unit price dynamically. So let's take a look here. Between 1 and 50 units, we're expecting the price to be $15. So if this is working, what'll happen is when I change my units to 51, or let's say I'll change them to 60, we should see the price drop to $12.50. So let's go take a peek at that. So I'm going to come in here. The price is set to $15. It changes to 60 units. And just like magic, you will see this price automatically adjust to $12.50, just like that. And that's volume-based pricing. So this is really popular with our companies who do manufacturing when they're selling large volumes of products to people, right? Obviously, if you buy more, you pay less per unit. We see that a lot. We see this sometimes with seat-based models too, is like the more seats you buy of like a certain type, the price will go down, right? So it is something that you do see in SaaS sometimes, which is really cool. And like really anyone who sells things in bulk or volume to like wholesalers or distributors or retailers, volume-based pricing is a really popular option. Again, not something you could even think about doing in HubSpot quoting out of the box. If you guys have any questions on some of the more complex calculated pricing scenarios that we've helped our customers set up using Quote Happily, please let us know. Drop a comment in the video below. We're here to help you HubSpot happily. Folks, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.